ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the day, the week, the morning. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Andrew McInnis. Go follow him at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk. As it's Tuesday morning breakfast bankroll, as we're getting ready to talk some CFL, we're getting ready to talk some Jays, as his Jays, my Red Sox, both lose yesterday, but that's baseball. No crying in baseball. ECSI VIPs. OMG. A miracle in Petco. You got the coach's whispers this morning. First five minus the hook. Mark Viento hits a grand slam 5-1 thanks to playing top of the fifth. Padres say no fret. They scored five themselves. Actually, 5-1. They scored five themselves. 6-5 first five cash, and then we hold on for a walk-off 7-6. So we catch a couple units there. So God bless us. Maybe that's the jump start we needed, as it was a real tough week last week. No BS and no sugarcoating here. You walk in a week before the break and you go 12-3 and you get the duck boats and you're feeling good. Well, you give back most of it last week, so now we're back in the green and we're getting ready to rock and roll. Shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships, WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Terry Smith planned to come on this morning. Life gets busy. We're here, Terry, of course. Head over to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood chops, appetizers, wine, 4 subscription plans. Set it and forget it. You name it, Terry's got it. Order today, and you could be grilling by Thursday. So without further ado, Mr. Andrew McInnis. What's up, Andrew?
Mr. Jeff Dawson, how are you?
I'm doing well. It's going to be a scorcher here on Cape Cod next couple days. Wife, daughter already at the beach. A busy morning already back here for me. Got some stuff to do. Glad to have you here. Let's circle back. How was your weekend in the CFL?
Great weekend in the CFL. Great weekend in the sun. Got this brutal hat tan right here. So you can see we have been getting some sun here in the East Coast before it gets cold again. We were one win away from a very perfect CFL weekend. And, oh, man, I'd like to have that one back after a 10-point lead for the Lions. 3 minutes to go. They lose the game. That one was tough, but graded 3-1 weekend. Needed a bounce-back weekend. We got it. Had to listen to you, had to listen to Yanni the Greek, Kelly in Vegas, little sprinkle on the money line with the Montreal Alouettes. Got them plus 6.5. We cashed the money line bet on that one as well. But all the Wager Talk customers, they always care about the big plays. We try and say, hey, you got to appreciate all of them, but they love that Edmonton Elks plus 9.5 winner. The best part about it, Jeff, Didn't matter what number you had, you cashed that ticket. I was getting worried. We had 8.5, 7.5s out there. You want to make sure everybody goes home happy.
No, and that's it. And you gotta love. It wasn't the true backdoor, but you want to be on the right side of the last score, the late score. And for you and everyone on Elksville, again, a 10-point deficit. Get the touchdown, cut it to 3. Thanks for playing. Shut the game off, and we move on. So congrats there. We'll get to this weekend schedule. 4 games. Thursday it kicks off. Talk about your Jays. Weekend, tough loss last night in Baltimore. Gave up a touchdown, a field goal, and a 2-point conversion. But you get back today on the horse. How you feeling about your Jays?
It's exciting. It's very, I always say this to you, it's very similar to the Raptors, right? It's Canada's team for the most part. And so even where I live, not too close to Toronto, everyone's talking about it. You could be at the doctor's office, grocery store, or wherever you are. People are like, hey, how about those Jays? I'm wearing my Jays hat, Jays, shirt, whatever. Everyone's talking about it. It's got that same feeling of the Josh Donaldson, the Edwin Encarnacion, the Jose Bautista, those days. And I'll tell you, the big one for me, I had a brutal round of golf in the sun, played horribly, got almost heat stroke, couldn't even pretty much walk into the house after, and I was so excited to toss the Jays game on Sunday, and Saturday or Sunday, Saturday maybe, and it was Skubal on the mound for the Tigers. What an absolute battle that was. I believe it was Gosman versus Skubal, and I think it was scoreless through 5, and then just like that, they get Skubal out of the game, and the Jays just start to go after the relievers. And I think it was back-to-back home runs. I think we had maybe one from Springer at one point, one from Vlad at one point. But it's the same thing I said to you last time out. I just love the old-school approach from this Jays team. Home runs are important, but get guys on, move the runners, advance them, get them home. But what have they given up last 2 games? 11 runs and 10 runs. So we'll see what happens. I think yesterday they had 3 pitchers give up 3 runs. So that never makes you happy, but now today we got 2 different situations. Wouldn't talk anybody off seeing runs in the first game here, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Jays took both games today. Call me a fan, but I think the Jays have success today.
I'm going to give you the full platform here because I want to hear what's going on. Again, July 29th, Friday, of course, August 1st, another step closer to football. But I want to take it a step closer to hockey. Talk about what you're hearing, what you're seeing. Canadians, listen, it's playoff or bust again. Great. Listen, they played a great series against the Caps last year. They were right there in a lot of those playoff games. Now, I think the expectation, I would assume, is we don't want to just make the playoffs. Maybe we can win a round. Maybe we can position ourselves better in the seedings in the playoffs. We still got a ways to go, but I'll give you a few minutes to talk some Habs hockey.
I'll talk Habs hockey whenever I'm given the chance. It's exciting, Jeff, because when you look at this time last year, or I guess I should say the regular season first game last year, they didn't have Patrick Laine. They didn't have Ivan Demidov. And now you've got Demidov and Laine that are going to be in the lineup because Laine was hurt. He got hurt in the second game of the preseason. And as many people will say that he's a lazy player, he doesn't have great defense, these guys have been on the ice together. And the big news, and I know that other fan bases will go after Hab fans for being so obsessed, but that's the kind of fan base that we are. A lot of people were in town for Nick Suzuki's wedding in Montreal. So you had all kinds of players getting on the ice every single day. And like you said, it's July. We're not even in August yet. Usually teams will hold like a captain's practice at the end of August or middle of August once the players start trickling back into the cities that they play in. These guys have been playing together. These guys have been practicing together. The big thing is the offense overall is going to be better. Last year, I said it to you every time we spoke about the Habs, they did not have a second line. They had a first line, and then they had 3 third or fourth lines. This year is going to be a year I'm confident to say they're going to have a second line with the pickup of Zach Bolduc from the St. Louis Blues. He's a great power forward, a guy that will throw his weight around. He's physical, but he's a good goal scorer as well. Kirby Dach, it's a big year for him in the middle. They haven't addressed that 2C concern, so he's going to have to play the second line center. And then, Demidov is, if you look at the odds, whether it's DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Demidov is the clear-cut favorite for the Calder Trophy once again, the Rookie of the Year. So if we could go ahead and see back-to-back Montreal Canadian players win the Rookie of the Year award, pretty good look on the Montreal management team and the drafting that they've done. The only thing that I'll say, and not a lot of people will talk about this, but they lost two players, Armia and Dvorak. And both of those players, they're not going to be like, you're watching ESPN, they're going to knock your socks off with highlights. But they were kind of like defensive guys, face-off guys that you can count on with the penalty kill. So with those, the Habs had the 9th-ranked penalty kill in the league last year. New guys will have to step up in that role. New guys will have to play defensive roles. But I have a feeling we're going to see you adding the Habs team total overs a bit more than you probably ever bet them last year. Their offense is going to be a lot better than it once was.
No, there's no doubt. I am already eyeing that. I know exactly where my eyes will be, and hopefully my bankroll too. I haven't seen any. I don't know if they're out yet. I don't think they're out yet. It's way too early. The over-unders. If you had to pencil one in, if the TSN called you, Andrew, and says, give me your over-under right now for wins for Montreal next year, what would you say?
Well, I think I can't remember what it was, Jeff, but I think I did see some come out, and I'll tell you, from a sports betting perspective, and I took off my fan hat, they juiced it way up from before. And I remember coming on the show last year and saying to you, if anyone can bet this over, take it. And if you can take, there was a bet which I could not believe, and nobody would listen to me because I'm a fan. It was who will have a better year, the Habs or the Blackhawks, which I just could not get over that was even a bet you could make. I believe they're given like an 18 more points than they got this past year. But what did the Habs finish with here? They finished with 91 points. And I think that's somewhere close to where they're putting them now. I would set the over-under at 92.5. How about that? I know that's not really a whole bold take. But if you look at the Atlantic from the last season, it was 108, 102 for Toronto, Tampa. Florida had 98. Then it was 97, 91, 86, 79, 76. So if the Habs are buzzing around that 91, 92 mark, I'll be happy. And the reason why I will be is because I think that Toronto's not going to reach the 108 mark next year. They're going to take a hit. I think Tampa Bay is going to take a hit. And Florida, they just went to the Cup for 3 straight years. They're going to be back in the playoffs. They're going to be great, but I don't know if they're going to dominate the regular season as well. So that's one thing the Habs kind of have going for them. They're pretty rested.
And you would think the Florida has the script. They have the playbook. 3 straight Cup appearances, 2 straight back-to-backs here. We don't need to push all in. Those older players might a little load management, wink, wink. Yeah. And you might see a big name go on that stupid IL, IR, whatever you call it. We'll see her in the playoffs, bring in some fresh legs. So I expect Montreal to have a big year. And you're spot on. I can see myself a lot of first period overs. I could see a lot of team totals over the 3.5 as well. So we got a lot of hockey and a lot of time to get to it there. 4 games on the CFL.
And Jeff, one thing I wanted to mention, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. This year, they're going to be even younger, though. They're now the official youngest team in the league, which is good for them success-wise. But if you look at it, that could be a problem. So some people are actually saying, well, they could regress. They lost some of the older guys. But at the end of the day, this young team is young, but they've got players that are young, but they've all been in the league forever. Nick Suzuki, you would think he's 30 years old. He's played, I think, like 450 straight NHL games without missing a game. So even though they're the youngest team in the league, they might not be the youngest by, maturation and experience. It's more so just the age level.
No, I agree. I can't wait. I'm not got big expectations for the locals, the Bruins. So I'll probably be living through your eyes this year in the Habs. So we will be talking a lot of hockey soon, especially right after football kicks off Labor Day, when everyone's so focused because they're back. Football's back. I'm gonna kill them. Oh my God, this is my year, my season. And then they don't even make it to Halloween. Never mind Thanksgiving. So
Week 3. Week 3.
they're on the $5 and $10 parlay cards by week 3. So, 4-game CFL Thursday night. Calgary travels to the struggling Ottawa Red Blacks. Calgary, a little dose of reality over the weekend. 5.5-point favorites. 51 and a hook. -110 both ways. Calgary -218 to the money line. Ottawa +180. First instinct, I think everyone's going to say perfect bounce back spot for Calgary. But you know me, win a ton in a row, lose one, sometimes reality, travel. I'm not jumping in on the Stampeders yet. I'm kind of actually going to laugh, leaning at Ottawa, and this Ottawa team's been pretty ugly.
Yeah, it takes a bold person to take an Ottawa team, but I get it. And if there's one place they've been pretty good, it's here. One person could argue that this might be the coach's job on the line if they don't get a good performance out of here. And the GM, how many times, Jeff, in all sports we've seen the GM come out and publicly back the coach and then just fire him a few weeks later, like, oh, I've got full faith in this guy, and then, oh, where'd he go? He's gone, right? So wouldn't talk you off that by any means, but again, like you said, it is that bounce back spot. Like Calgary didn't just lose I guess fail to cover, but they lost the game outright. So they'll want to bounce back. It's a big difference going from a Montreal Alouettes team to this. Here's the funny thing, though, and I need your eyes for this. Obviously, they were at home, 6.5-point favorites, again against MBT at backup and the Alouettes, but now 4.5 road faves against the bottom feeder in the league. And if we think back to it, I do believe, I think Ottawa's only win is against Calgary in that really rainy game they had earlier in the season. So what's your take on this number that you saw? Because that seems kind of weird to me. They're 6.5 home faves. Now they're 4.5 road against the worst team in the league. Well, them and the Elks.
Well, the home road splits also, 8 weeks now worth of data. I think the numbers, you're going to laugh at me. I think I'm on DraftKings right now. The number's inflated. And I think, as you said, if someone Venmo'd you $100 to bet on Ottawa, you'd probably Venmo them back 150. Says, no, you take the extra 50 and put on. You can't go to the window with any conviction betting Ottawa. And I think the books know it. This will probably touch 7 by kickoff. And I'm not saying Calgary doesn't win here. This is an early stench of the week, Andrew.
It really is. It really is. One thing to mention about Calgary is 0-2 ATS now as a favorite. And I know last week, I always say yesterday, last week where I was joking around with saying, of course the players don't know when they're not playing, I have to go out and cover this point spread by any means. But I think sometimes as sports bettors, we do think about that, right? How does this team perform in a specific role? And that's actually one thing that I've been working on for the upcoming NHL season, looking at which teams do well in certain money line prices. Which teams can I trust to beat up on the bad teams, and which teams don't show up necessarily every night against the bad teams? Well, when you got a team that is 5-0 ATS as a dog and 0-2 ATS as a favorite, maybe that has something to do with this line here. Ottawa right now, though, 0-3 ATS at home when they were a great home team all last year. 0-2 as a favorite ATS, 2-3 ATS as a dog. Maybe that has something to do with it. Here's the thing, though. This is going to be one of those ones where, as you joked around with the Venmo, no one's going to be in a hurry to bet Ottawa, I think. So this could be one we could wait to bet, probably up until game time.
No, and I agree. And Calgary's defense has been great. No team totals up yet, but just basic math there. 51 and a hook with a 5.5. I mean, you're going to be looking at this red-black team total probably right around 20 and a hook, 21 and a half, somewhere around there. Maybe, I mean, it won't touch 24. So it will be interesting there. We'll watch that one climb. Like it says, if you like Ottawa this week, just let the public do their thing with Calgary. If you like Calgary, you probably better jump in now, right?
Yes, I would say so. I would say so. And you know, Ottawa seem to be notoriously bad starters, and then they end up picking it up like in the second half. So if you do like Calgary, maybe you can jump on the first half line if your book is giving that to you right now.
I agree. Friday night, Toronto travels to Winnipeg. Winnipeg minus 5.5. Toronto plus 5.5. Another 51 and a hook. Winnipeg minus 278 on the money line. Toronto plus 225. And let me just say this too. Both numbers on DraftKings are 5.5s. Yet Winnipeg's money line's minus 278 and Calgary is 218. So keep an eye on that. Again, Ottawa a live dog, I think, at home on Thursday there. Listen, Winnipeg, 2 weeks ago, I was already duck boats, parades, ready to meet you to see them in the Grey Cup final. What the bleep's going on, brother?
What is going on with this team? Well, injuries can happen to a team, but it's no excuse. It's no excuse with this team. I mean, you're missing a receiver. Where's your depth? I mean, the guy that replaced Dalton Schoen, I think he had 2 targets for 10 yards, or 2 catches, excuse me. He's not even batting 500. He's got way more targets than catches. All right, this guy's got, I think, 6 or 7 targets, 2 catches. Not looking good for him. But the biggest thing is this team, I was saying earlier in the year, the reason why they were a good over team was in large part due to their offense, but now it's their defense as well. Who would have thought Winnipeg would be one of the best over teams in the league? And then you got Claros that's been injured, banged up a little bit. They brought him back maybe earlier than they should have. So then Strevler comes into the game. So a little bit of a different mixed bag when it comes to this team. However, I will argue when you look at this Blue Bombers team and just some of the schedule they've had to deal with. Again, I always laugh when I talk about scheduling because it's the CFL with only 9 teams. But they have played the Stamps twice in their last 3 games. And then the Argos were just absolutely red hot, or were not red hot, but they were well prepared coming into this last game after they had a healthy break. So this number tells us all we have to know. I try not to read too much about the opening lines, try and trust my numbers in the CFL. But when I look at Winnipeg here, it makes me want to get after them, but it makes me more specifically want this to be a team total play of the week. I think this is a game where they put up some points on Toronto's defense, and we don't worry about what Toronto does to them. This could be a spot where, remember when Toronto gave up 52 points at home against Hamilton? That was only a few weeks ago. So this is, we always talk about week 2 in the CFL, NFL, whatever, being overreaction week. Well, you can still overreact from one week to the next in the middle of the season. I'm not going to be too worried about what Toronto did last week. So I'm going to say on Twitter this week, for all the people still betting CFL, Toronto will be a popular dog.
Toronto will be the popular dog. So, I think this number could drop down just on past performance and recency bias there. Saturday, Hamilton travels to our Edmonton Elks. Kind of surprised here. Hamilton minus 5.5. It's not a 3.5. It's not a 2.5. It's a 5.5. Telling me, hey, books want some Edmonton money, and we know in the past 4 or 5 years we've been doing shows, when they ask for Edmonton money, they either get the false steam move and that thing drops like you know what, or they do get the money. Over under 54.5 juice to the over 54.5. And I'm going to say this. They closed, Hamilton did on Sunday, with a 56, and there was 70-plus points scored. I'm kind of surprised. I thought this number would be higher. I think they want the public to push it to the over. Hamilton minus 230 on the money line. Elks plus 190. Initial thought, I think the world will be on the over here, and I actually think Hamilton and their defense might say, Edmonton, good luck.
Yeah, it's tough because we're trained as sports bettors to not as much right? So how much does a player affect a line? I guess is what I'm trying to say here, Jeff. How much does one specific player impact what a line is? And in the CFL, well, it's a lot. It is. And you know, I'm not saying the cover that Edmonton had last week was easy because it still was a backdoor cover, but that's often what happens when you have plus 9.5. But I don't think Trey Ford was making some of those throws on second and long, or that one that was pretty much from the end zone, 40-yard toss over the shoulder. You're not seeing that. And Fajardo, 26 of 33, 346 yards, 2 touchdowns. Longest pass was 57 yards. These lines we're seeing are Edmonton Elk lines, not Cody Fajardo lines. So maybe I'm just going to become the president of his fan club, but this team has the offensive ability. Now, granted, they're not plus 9.5 anymore. So there's no bet. The backdoor cover doesn't become 9.5. It's 4.5 now, which is a bit different. West Coast road trip. Once again, I still think I had the right side with BC. Some might say otherwise because we were gifted 3 or 4 turnovers and Hamilton wins. I know we shouldn't play this game, Jeff, but let's go through the Tiger Cats schedule. I think I've done a pretty good job over the years of trying to predict these flat spots. Didn't work out last week, but they go ahead and beat the Alouettes. 51 points on the Argos. 3-point win against the Red Blacks. They play the Red Blacks again, and then they probably win a game they shouldn't have against the Lions last week. I think this is one of those, we're playing the Elks. Forget it. We're playing the Elks. And this game ends up being a field goal game. But the only issue is this. We're in the territory of 4.5. We're in CFL terms this year. That's win territory. That's not just cover territory. So that makes me a bit worried. But one thing kind of cool is that Edmonton was actually able to put some pressure on last week. But, they put pressure on in a game where they didn't really need to score that many points to cover because they were 9.5-point dogs. I like the Edmonton side so far. I know what you mean about Hamilton's offense. Bo Levi looks amazing. They're throwing the ball really well. But if Edmonton can score and they are at home, I think that's going to be a play I'll be on.
And, of course, the Sunday night special. I'm a little surprised here. I really am. Saskatchewan travels to Montreal. Saskatchewan opens up minus 2.5 and over-under of 50 and a hook, juice to the over. Money line, Saskatchewan minus 142, Montreal plus 120. Initial thoughts, surprise, Saskatchewan 2.5-point favorites, number 1. Number 2, call me crazy. I thought the 50 and a hook seemed a little high. This kind of thinks if both teams played their style here, would trend towards the under, Andrew.
Well, you said it best when you first started talking about Sask with me, the 20-20. Like, this team they're the definition of long drives. And so I actually would lean towards the under here. Montreal back at home. I think they want to get back to their true identity, which, again, is defensive football. Even in that game against Calgary, we didn't necessarily see that. And we saw an okay game, and they did have, I think, 1 or 2 turnovers they created. But, yeah, I'd look towards under 49.5 in this one. Saskatchewan, I mean, it is interesting because this team, when you look at, let me see their numbers as far as points per game, because they're up there in points per game, I'm pretty sure. But that game for them against the Elks, like that's a game they're not going to be happy about. A lot of the quotes I saw, Trevor Harris is a big quotes guy. He was just like not happy. He goes, I'll speak for us in the offense. I can't speak for the defense. We weren't happy with that second half. We didn't carry ourselves well. We didn't move the ball well. We didn't. I feel like he's going to be locked in and laser focused. So maybe I would lean to the Saskatchewan side, honestly, Jeff, here. But at the end of the day, sometimes, things happen in bunches. And, you have one kind of iffy game on the road against Edmonton. Why can't it happen again? The cross-country trip to Montreal. It's a little bit of a travel spot here. They played at home against the Lions. They played at home against Calgary. Short flight to BC. Then home against the Elks. So they had a home game in 3 of their last 4. Now they got to go across the country to Montreal. That could be impactful. I'd probably just, if I'm playing, I might take the under here. One of those ones, again, where I'm going to watch to see what the market does.
A couple minutes left here, sir. Your Jays have announced that Mr. Lucas. Oh, actually, let me backtrack here. Hold on one second. 12:35 Lucas versus Ground Chuck. Charlie Morton overnight Baltimore minus 135. Now minus 119. You can grab your Jays at plus 107. A 10.5 overnight. Now at 10 there. And then at 6:35 Blue Jays announced Laura versus Young. Overnight Baltimore minus 110. Big flip to Toronto minus 124 in Laura. I'll just say this. Guys, it used to be an autoplay. Doubleheader. Watch the first game. Whoever wins the first game, bet against them in the second game. I don't care who was pitching. It was an autoplay. It was probably hitting around 63, 65%. Any love either side for one of these two games, especially with the 12:35 matinee baseball, Andrew?
I think I might get involved in the early game. But at the end of I was saying team total. I might go first five. I don't mind this matchup. I think the Blue Jays are going to come out firing. They're going to be motivated after two kind of rough outings. Their pitchers got hit, but they also weren't the best offensive. So maybe we'll look at the Jays' first 5 innings here. What's that updated number here, Jeff, with that? Now that it's we always got to go with the best price possible.
Jays' first 5 money line is plus 105. Baltimore minus 125. If you wanted the Jays plus the hook, will cost you minus 130. Under over is 5 and a hook. It's a gold number to me. Both team totals 2.5 Toronto, juiced under minus 120. Baltimore 2.5 juiced over. If I was going to do a team total, I two things. I do over 5.5, of course. There, that's a go number. But I would take the Jays over 2.5 plus the 100.
I don't know if you saw. I did it over 5.5 the other day with the first 5 innings. That's always like they want 6 from us in the first 5 innings. But I'll take that plus 105 as well in the first 5 innings money line. And I'm on Detroit team total over 4.5, even money plus 100 today. This Tigers team, I'll tell you, I mean, they got 5 yesterday. They got 10 in the last game against the Blue Jays on Sunday. But they're a weird team. You know, they only scored 1 in the previous, 2 in the previous before that, 4 in the previous before that, 1 before that one. They're a streaky team. And so I'm hoping I can catch them on the upside now, get back on track a little bit. Favorable pitching situation. We'll look to back the Tigers today.
And I'll just say this. If you sit out on the matinee, currently Toronto team total in the second game, 5.5 under minus 130. You want to, let's see how the first game plays out here. But if Toronto happens to lose and doesn't score a lot against Ground Chuck here, they're 5.5 over plus 110. Might be a sneaky way at 6:35 when you're out there grilling and you got the corn getting steamed and you got the salad and you got the fresh green beans from the garden, yada, yada, yada. Scroll have been going the whole time, Andrew. At McInnis Picks, at Wager Talk, WT.buzz/A&M. What do you got for the public, sir?
Yeah, as always, $5 Tuesday. This time around, we're going with an MLB play for the $5 play. You guys can grab that at Wager Talk, of course. But CFL season, we're heating up 3-1 last week, picking up some units, hitting the big plays, those 4 and 5% plays. Those are the ones everybody likes. So, guys, head on over to Wager Talk. Get my CFL season pass. We'll show you some love and give you some NFL plays on the house. So let's ride off into the sunset, finish off the summer on a good note with CFL and college football, NFL season almost here.
Yes, tomorrow, 8 a.m. Actually, let me backtrack here. 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, Vegas time. Brady Cannon back tea time wagers. Tomorrow afternoon around 2 or 3 o'clock Eastern, check my timeline. Ron Marmolewski back to talk some NFL and CFL. Myself and Andrew will be back on his channel on Thursday at 10:15 Eastern. And then at 11 a.m. we're going to have Drew talking his story, his DK story. We got Drew Hirschman on, Mr. Florida Panther and OKC Thunder. He'll be on at 11. And, of course, Matthew George will be back at 11:30 a.m. So for myself,
Awesome.
Myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wage Talk. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves. Cash some tickets. Stay in your lanes Friday, August 1st. And stay tuned.